Hi everybody, welcome back to Tunes Reviews. Today we're going to talk about my top 10 favorite picks for the fall season of 2020. We're going to call it for 2020, but really these are all choices that I've had in my top 10 list probably for the past 2 or 3 years or so, but I really wanted to do a top 10 fall fragrance list for you all, so here we are. Okay, so fall is my favorite time of the year, by far. I'm 6'1" and 220 pounds, and I don't like being overly hot. I'm a very hairy guy. I'm like a werewolf. So in order to sport, my beard and my hairy chest and whatever, I really prefer to not be, in overwhelmingly hot, disgusting heat. Anywhere between, 85 and 90, 100 degrees is way too much for me. I prefer my weather to be in the 70s and 60s with a nice, cold, crisp air. On top of the weather and my body type and all that kind of stuff going into what I like for a factor for the seasons, I also just love the aesthetic of fall. I love the colors. I love that it's spooky season. I love horror films. One of my guilty pleasures is really bad B-grade, C-grade horror movies. I also can appreciate and love classics that are still terrifying and hold up to this day, like The Exorcist. But being a film guy, I just love when people are able and capable of making a good, crappy B-grade film that is there for pure enjoyment. On top of that, one of my favorite stories of all time is The Last of Us. If you are a video game aficionado of any kind, you know that The Last of Us is hailed as pretty much the best game in the last 10 years. And the story is incredible, and it's a game that I love to play every fall. I always start a new game on October 1st. So that being said, I have a lot of affiliation with the fall, personal favorites in the fall. My girlfriend that I've been with for 3.5 years, Catherine, her birthday's in the fall. Just lots of really great things that happen in the fall. Last year we went to Salem in the fall for her birthday, and it was a really, really good time. So I just love the fall, and I love the fragrances that come along with the fall, all the wonderful spices and warming fragrances that you can pull back out after the long anticipated couple seasons, spring, summer, where it's very hot and you typically don't wear those fragrances, and it's more of the crisp, clean, citrusy ones that aren't really up my alley nearly as much as the dense, rich, gourmand, woody fragrances that I've come to love. Now, you're not going to see fragrances that you may think that you'd see on here, like this bad boy right here, Royal Oud. I'm not going to put Royal Oud on here because it's just my signature scent at this point. I've worn it and gone through probably, again, 4 or 5 bottles in the last 5-6 years. It is my signature scent. There is no fragrance that I like better than Royal Oud, and I wear it all year long. Therefore, I'm keeping it out of the list because it's not really a seasonal-based thing. It's really just me. The same goes for Amouage Reflection Man. I know a lot of people would consider that to be a really good fall fragrance or a spring fragrance. However, it's another signature scent of mine. Those two are really the ones that I've worn the most in the last 6 years and gone through the most bottles of, so they don't need to be on a list. I just wear them. That being said, this year, I have a two-way tie for my number 1 spot. I could not choose one or the over the other. But let's kick it off. These last 5 are certainly wonderful fragrances that have been in my top 5, top 10, top whatever list of fall and or winter for the last couple, 3-4 years. Starting in at number 10, let's go to the House of Atelier Cologne. This is Cafe Tuberosa. Cafe Tuberosa, what a wonderful, sugary hazelnut coffee with tuberose. This fragrance, I just reach for it constantly. This is my second bottle, and it's a bit challenging for me. I'm sure there's some people that don't find it challenging, but tuberose can be very animalic, very fleshy on my skin, and so I found it a little bit challenging, and I just can't get enough of it because it keeps me coming back for more. So number 10 is Atelier Cologne, Cafe Tuberosa. Number 9 is my second favorite fragrance from Andy Tower. Number 1 being Une Rose de Kandahar. I absolutely love that fragrance, and it is incredible, incredible. If you haven't tried Un Rose de Kandahar, do yourself a favor and check it out because it's so good. But kind of probably a unpopular opinion because I think most people's favorites lie within the realm of, like, I don't know, L'air de Désert Americain and maybe Un Rose or Incense Rose or even Lonesome Rider, Lone Star Memories, things like that. Those are ones that, you know, you really hear the most about. But my second favorite is Vanilla Flash, and this is my second bottle that I have obtained because I cannot get enough of this. Vanilla is one of my all-time favorite notes for fragrance, as you all probably know. And Andy Tower has created a very affordable, wonderful, scrumptious, almost tobacco-y gourmand vanilla, and it's just to die for. It's so good. It's so good, and it screams fall. It is a wonderful fall pick. I highly encourage any of you that have not tried it to go check it out. Number 9, Andy Tower Vanilla Flash. Number 8 is a fragrance that's frequented my fall and winter list. It is probably, honest to God, one of my favorite designer fragrances of all time. I'm saying it's in the top 5. A lot of people are probably going to think that's a little ridiculous once I show it to you. A lot of snobs out there. I don't really care. It's fine. I don't typically love this house, but this fragrance they really got right. And it really kind of encompasses a lot of the things that I enjoy in fragrance and in life. And I feel like it's a part of me because I've gone through 3 bottles of this actually in the last 4 years. And yeah, this is 1 Million Prive. I can't say enough good about this stuff. It is so good. If you want a nice, smooth, a little bit closer to the skin, not quite so loud, cinnamon tobacco, that's this. It's a very sweet cinnamon tobacco. I love this fragrance. I think it's outstanding. I think it's really kind of brought me back to paying attention to what the brand releases, and I just love it. I can't get enough of it. 1 Million Prive coming in at number 8. Number 7. Now we're really starting to get into some big head honchos. Boy. Number 7 is a fragrance that I've really, really come to love in the last year and a half or so. We'll call it a year. This is like a newer acquisition of mine within the last year. And this fragrance is probably the one that I would choose from the brand if I could only choose one. And I certainly think that anyone out there that likes tobacco, spice bomb, spicy type fragrances that also have some freshness to it should really check it out. And that is Initio Rehab. Initio Rehab is just pure seduction. It's clean, beautiful lavender. It's very crisp with some beautiful tobacco and spicy elements. And yeah, it's just a crisp fall day. It's a crisp fall day. You want to go apple picking or something with your loved one, or go like to a cidery or something like that, and you're kind of semi-formal, you know, have a nice jacket, nice shirt, maybe some slacks or something. This is just such a wonderful pick. I absolutely encourage anyone that has not tried this fragrance to please go check it out. It is so good. It just blows Spice Bomb out of the water. Number 7, Initio Rehab. Number 6 and 7. Really, any of these are interchangeable. I love them all so much. It's just based on mood, right? But this one just barely made it out of the top 5. I mean, just by the skin of its teeth, you know. The rest of the top 5 are really the staples, and this is my favorite from the brand by far. I know that there's a lot of people that don't love this because they think that it's kind of a copycat of another fragrance, which I'll get to in a moment. But this is personally my favorite from the brand. This is Parfums de Marly Oajan. And Oajan is obviously compared to Ambre Narguilé quite a bit. I totally see why. However, I will say this projection and longevity blows Ambre Narguilé out of the water. That is an incredible fragrance. I am not dissing it by any stretch. I've owned a bottle of it and a couple of those 15 ml bottles that they sell. However, when I got a hold of Oajan and I noticed how much longer it lasts on my skin, how much better it projects, I definitely just buy this now. And this is a compliment magnet. If you want a nice apple pie, syrupy sweet cinnamon apple type fragrance, this is absolutely outstanding. I love this stuff. And this totally reminds me of, Thanksgiving, pretty much, because my grandmother makes the best apple pie. I'm sure a lot of you out there are thinking the same thing. My grandma makes the best apple pie. But this fragrance just absolutely reminds me of the holidays. I absolutely love Oajan by Parfums de Marly, coming in at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is a staple of mine. Actually, all of these are staples at this point. These fragrances are on the top 5 for a reason. They are, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're definitely fragrances that I will keep in my collection forever. They all kind of take a different check box for me, and I think, multiple check boxes, and I think that these fragrances really encompass fall for me and what I think, how I feel. It's almost a projection of how I feel in a bottle when it comes to fall and the changing of the seasons and whatnot. So coming in at number 5, this is an old favorite of mine. Used to be a signature scent for a couple years. That is none other than this beauty right here, Midnight in Paris. What a wonderful, wonderful concoction. You guys know all about Midnight in Paris. It's next to impossible to find now. Get it while you can, even if it's only, even if it's $150 or something for what you could used to pay for the 1.3 ounce, like $15. It's only going to go up in price. It's not coming back. Just get a bottle before it's too late. Number 5, Midnight in Paris. Wonderful stuff. Number 4 is a fragrance that heavily, heavily reminds me, again, of my father. And it reminds me heavily of kind of just crisp, cool air, being kind of a drifter. It's almost, it's not easy for me to explain this one other than it reminds me as though you're very alone in the world, almost like a post-apocalyptic event had happened and you're just kind of drifting from place to place, and then the season happens to be fall. I'm not sure why I get that out of it. Maybe it's the prominent leather accord, and I have a strong connection with kind of like this cowboy mentality of being free and kind of drifting from place to place. But it is Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. This is one of my all-time favorite fragrances, and I could put a number of Tom Fords or a number of Parfums de Marly or a number of any other houses that I've mentioned already on this list, and it would prove to be a fall list. However, Tuscan Leather, again, is like one of the fragrances that I would choose from the house to keep forever. It's, interchangeable between that and Tobacco Veni, but I think that I have a lot more of a strong connection to Tuscan Leather just because of my personal thought process and connection to the scent itself, relating to my father and relating to some of those feelings that I hold kind of dear to me about even film or television, that kind of free desperado type mentality. I really, really enjoy that, and that kind of paints that picture for me. So coming in again at number 4, Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. Coming in at number 3 is an old favorite that a lot of you probably haven't seen. I don't think I've had this on a list in a long time, but this is one of the greatest vanilla fragrances, if not the greatest, that I've ever come across. If you're talking like pure vanilla, although a lot of people don't think that the vanilla is a prominent note in this fragrance, although I don't see that. I think that this is a very earthy, grown-up, kind of, I wouldn't call it difficult or challenging, but it's almost borderline in that realm, almost coming off as vegetal sometimes. That is the ever so lovely Mona de Orio Veni. This is just one of the most beautiful fragrances I've ever come across. I get kind of a strong green pepper note in it. I'm not sure, it's probably the vetiver, but that strong, pungent, earthy vetiver comes off as green peppers, and it reminds me heavily of when my grandmother used to make goulash in the fall, her cutting up and dicing green peppers. So I get a strong blast of that for like the first 15-20 minutes, and then it transitions into this beautiful, spicy, boozy vanilla, and I just love it for kind of the composition being a little bit more challenging and a little bit more of a transition type fragrance, rather than just being a fragrance that's the same from point A to point Z. I absolutely love the House of Mona de Orio, and I love Cure. That could easily have been on here as well, but We went with Veni because Veni is in my top 20 favorites of all time. So that being said, if you haven't checked out Mono de Orio's Veni, you're missing out. Check it out. Coming in at number 2 is a fragrance that I'm a little late to the game at owning a bottle of. However, it's one of the fragrances that whenever I'd go to the mall, to Sephora or whatever, and check out to see if there's new fragrances or whatever in stock, this was one of I would always wear this. I'd like spray it on my shirt and after I got done checking everything else out and leave wearing this fragrance, smelling like this fragrance for the rest of the day and night, and always, remind myself that I need to pick up a bottle. But finally I did. It's been talked about to death. However, it's incredible. So I'm fine with it. This is Maison Margiela's By the Fireplace. I mean, this is cozy as hell. It's cozy as hell. It is so good. It's scrumptious. Chestnuts roasting over an open fire. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Yeah, it's a beautiful chestnut, vanilla, smoky fragrance, and I absolutely freaking love it. If you're a fan of Black Phantom by Killian, or a fan of Bond's New York for All, which they discontinued and turned into something else, whatever. Those two fragrances heavily remind me of this. They all have, subtle differences or whatever, or prominent differences, but they're all in the same family of like that chestnutty, coffee type, sitting in front of the fireplace, cozy fragrance. And this stuff is just so, so delicious. I absolutely love it. And it is coming in at my number 2 spot for fall. Number 1 is a two-way tie. I just couldn't pick one over the other. One I have a very strong connection to because it reminds me of so much with meeting a lot of my newer friends from college a few years ago that have been such a huge, prominent part of my life. Some of my favorite people I've ever met. And, it reminds me of filming one of my first films called Dark Chamber, which is a very neon-colored metaphorical film. It's very sexy and a little bit violent and whatever, but I just had such a blast making that film with some of my best friends, and I wore this fragrance quite a bit while I was filming that because this fragrance had just come out around that time, and I just got my bottle around that time, and I just fell in love with it head over heels. So when I was filming that film, it was during the fall, and so I was wearing this quite a bit. And so now I just have that affiliation of this fragrance with fall, and that is Naso Mato's Baronda. This is my second bottle of this. I just went through this stuff so quickly. I absolutely love Baronda. It is my favorite from the brand by far. Pardon, Duro, they're incredible. Black Afghano, I don't really find wearable, but I do love the smell of it. On other people, I could see it, but I don't really wear too many challenging fragrances like that anymore. I try to wear stuff that other people can enjoy at least slightly. I do have a few that people don't, but I don't wear fragrance just for myself too often. But Baronda is, oh my God, it's just so good. Whiskey and spice and like old oak casks, just incredible, and it's sexy as hell. I get compliments with that stuff all the time, and people have asked what I'm wearing while wearing that fragrance multiple times. So check that one out. It is tied with Rania J. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Rania J. And this is Ombre Loup. This is just, my God. If I had to choose one that just absolutely encompassed what fall is to me, it would be this. Personally, I'm going to say it. I like Ombre Loup better than Amber Absolute at this point. Amber Absolute was the fragrance, okay, the pedestal of amber fragrances. I think that this stuff won me over, and it is one of my favorite fragrances of all time at this point. Just a very, very beautiful gourmandish amber, very, very heavy on the cinnamon, has some beautiful vanilla in there, but still has that cedar chip, resinous amber, and it's just smoothed out by those other notes, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So That being said, let me know down below what some of your favorite fragrances are, and if you think that I have chosen well. I hope you're all staying safe out there. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful fall. Again, it's my favorite time of the year, so I hope that you're all enjoying some spooky season, and some hot cocoa and coffee or whatever else you got going on. The hot beverages have made their way back out. No more of that iced bullshit. And I hope you all are keeping it real and taking care of yourselves. I'll talk to you all soon. Have a good one. Bye-bye.